And not snuffy anything. I think some will be son of sell scanner. It's not adding up. It's his sister no, so not snuffy anything. No, maybe his sister and not snuffy anything. Faustina no. And the junior sister and the senior sister. I'm afraid German police say I'm on investigating. Hi, good afternoon. Sorry about that. Welcome to my live. Today's live is on how to appeal after an employment tribunal decision, and this is based in the UK. Sorry, we're just gossiping about Daddy Lumba and everything that's going on. I'm of the opinion that, seeing as he was a German citizen, they should just get the German police involved. But anyway, yeah. So this is a live on how to appeal an employment tribunal decision in the UK. So once you receive your decision, whether it's in writing or verbally, you can request the decisions in writing. So you can request this at the end of the tribunal. So at the point of where you receive the decision, you can verbally request the reasons for the judgment in writing. Or within 14 days of receiving the judgment in writing, you can request for written decisions. I'll say that again. The time limits are quite strict, so it's quite important that you adhere to it. Firstly, when you receive your decision, if you receive it verbally at a hearing, you can also request for the written decisions for the judgment verbally at the final hearing, at the judgment. Okay, so if the judgment is given to you in writing, you will need to request the reasons in writing within 14 days of receiving it. And if you're at the hearing and you receive the decision verbally, you can also ask for the reasons for the decision verbally. Hello. Okay, right, so once you receive the written reasons, you can potentially make an application for a reconsideration. Okay, so a reconsideration is quite strict on certain grounds, such as high Dexter Francis, high Tejas Patel, and high magnetic love. Yes. Yeah. So you can ask for a reconsideration on the basis of new evidence of unfairness or bias from the judge, or an error in how the judge applied the law. So for those reasons, you can make a request for a reconsideration in the interest of justice. So if you go online, you can see more about that. But the basis for a reconsideration would be like a bias that was shown by the court during the tribunal, an error in how the law was applied, or new evidence, and these all need to be in the interest of justice. Hello to Karen Murray, and hi Leviathan 1407. Leviathan. Isn't that a sea monster in the Bible? Leviathan. But yeah, so that's I'm not going to be distracted today. So that's how you ask for a reconsideration, and that needs to be in writing. So in regards to the reconsideration, the request needs to be sent to the um, presiding judge that made the judgment, that made the decision. So the reconsideration application has to go to the original judge that has overseen your case, and the panel. Um, in regards to the reconsideration, the responses may be to revoke the judgment, um, to have the judgment still stand, or to have the judgment varied, and possibly order another hearing. So regardless of what the decision is, unless they request another hearing, you still have 42 days to appeal judgment. So the appeal process and the reconsideration process are two separate things done by two separate parties. The reconsideration will be sent to the presiding judge, and the appeal will be sent to the upper tier tribunal, which is more senior to the tribunal you had your case heard in. So in regards to the reconsideration, the reconsideration application needs to be within 14 days of when the reasons were sent to you, and the appeal needs to be 42 days after the judgment was with reasons is sent, or 42 days after the date the separate written reasons were sent, if you ask for them. So in some cases, when you receive your judgment, you do receive the reasons as well. In other cases, you receive the judgment by itself, and you will not receive the reasons unless you request them. Yeah, so that's the guidance. But to read the guidance in full, just go to appeal to the Employment Tribunal gov.uk, and you'll have more details. You can apply for reconsideration. Hi, Leviathan. You're 8. Okay. Well, be careful out in these internet streets, because obviously you've got predators out there, so make sure you're careful out in these YouTube streets. And I've just removed your message for your own good. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're having a good day. I hope the weather is good where you are. It's raining where I am, like raining heavily. Like since morning it's been raining. So I hope you're having better weather where you are. I do like the sound of rain when I'm inside though, but when you're out in the rain, it's a whole different ball game. Yeah, so there is some guidance on applying for a reconsideration. That it's very clear that you can't just apply for reconsideration because you disagree with the judgment. So you can't just apply for reconsideration because you're not happy with the judgment. You can't also just, okay, Kent is good. I think Kent is like London now, isn't it? Because I know lots of people that have left London to live in Kent. So I feel like Kent has become London in some ways. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah, I would say Kent is like London now. There's just so many Londoners that have moved up there. But yeah, nice area. Right, so in regards to appealing, it is advisable to have legal advice and to have legal support and legal direction on it, because it can be quite complicated. But yeah, so that's how you appeal an employment tribunal decision. You do need to understand what grounds you'll be appealing on. In the first instance, it's a good idea to apply for a reconsideration. If you do apply for a reconsideration, you're usually required to have the written reasons with the bye Leviathan. Bye, and thank you for joining my live. Please like my live if you're here. I would really appreciate that. And also stay safe, Leviathan. You know, stay safe out in these internet streets. There's a lot of predators out there, so make sure you take care of yourself. But thank you for joining. Bye. Yeah, so when you do apply for reconsideration, thank you. I really appreciate that, Leviathan. Much appreciated. Stay safe, yeah? Okay, so before you, if you do apply for reconsideration or for an appeal, you do usually to have the written reasons attached. Thank you, Leviathan. I really appreciate that. And if you've got time, so I know you're going, but if you've got time, let me know what kind of topics you'd like me to cover in future, so I can cater more to what my supporters would like to hear about. But yeah, if you have time, just drop a couple of topics that you'd like me to do some content on. And thank you once again for your support and for subscribing and liking. Thank you. Right, so if you do decide to appeal or ask for a reconsideration, you do usually need to have the written reasons attached, or you need to explain why you don't. It is also a good idea to have them, because in regards to your application, it will relate directly to what the written reasons were. Another thing that I want to make clear on is that when you do, once you receive the judgment in writing, you can send an email, you can request the written reasons, okay, within 14 days. And then once you receive the written reasons, you then have another 14 days to apply for reconsideration. Right. Once you receive the written reasons, you have 42 days to appeal. So they're very, very strict about the time limit, so make sure that you do adhere to that. And like I said previously, the basis can be new evidence, it can be a perceived bias from the court, or unfairness, and it can also be an error in the law. So those are the reasons. You will need to send evidence. There's no payment to be made. However, we are discouraged from making frivolous and vexatious claims, claims that, don't have any basis whatsoever or any prospects of winning. We're not supposed to do that. But yeah, so that's what it is. And then when the deadline to appeal is 42 days after you've received the reasons, the judgment of reasons, and it's by 4 p.m. on the last day. So it's always daunting going to court, taking somebody to court. Being taken to court is always very daunting. In regards to Employment Tribunal, it can be very stressful. There can be a detriment made on your reputation. It can definitely take time out of your career. It can have a negative impact on your reputation, on your working life. So it is something that you need to consider very, very carefully before embarking on. And you also need to understand that you may lose. Okay, so that's something very realistic that you need to understand before, partaking of any cases or anything, or taking anybody to court, or deciding to sue someone. You need to consider the backlash that you will probably receive, whether you win or lose. In regards to the reconsideration, if you feel like you do have grounds to submit new evidence, or evidence of being the court being biased during the tribunal or unfair towards you, you can, submit that also. Or if you believe that the judge has made an error in the law, you can submit on those grounds as well. So those are the grounds, those are the time frames. Obviously things don't always go the way we'd like, so make sure that you do keep up to date with, what the deadlines are, when they are, when to check in on the deadlines, and also, be as be as be as efficient as possible with your time and with your resources and with what you want to do. So I'm planning on applying for a reconsideration, and I will definitely get back to you, my supporters, in how that goes, whether that's successful or not. But that is something that I am planning to do. Also, as well, if you keep in mind that once you apply for the written reasons, and if you do decide to reconsider, all this information will be also held online, alongside the judgment and details from the case. So just be mindful that as you go further in, there's going to be less and less anonymity for you. So that's it really. Definitely get some legal advice before you embark on a reconsideration or appeal. Obviously, we understand that it's the cost of living crisis. People just don't have money to throw around. However, in order to get the best advice available, speaking to an employment lawyer is always a good idea, or your union if they're able to help you. Okay, so that's the end of my live. I just wanted to talk about how to apply for a reconsideration or how to appeal after a tribunal. And I wish you all the best. I hope it all goes well for you. Please, hope it goes well for me, guys. Like, you guys have been so supportive so far, and I just need you to get me over the edge a bit, and just to, continue to be a coping mechanism for me. But yeah, so I will be applying to have a reconsideration after my Employment Tribunal claim, and I've just gone through what the criteria is to do that. So that's all done. Thank you for joining my live, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend and you're not being flooded out by rain like we are in London. Thank you. Bye.